Rocking Chair Session. With Elisa Di Battista and Maria Teresa Barber.
Hi everyone!
And welcome to RCS Rocking Chair Sessions, Volume 38 with artist Michael Williams.
Hello.
Hi Michael, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
It's supposed to be January 1st, which is your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
How does that
What
work
a
out
cool
for you?
birthday to have!
Yeah, it's the best birthday.
When do you start to celebrate it?
Oh, the night before.
The night
Obviously,
before,
like New Year's Eve.
New Year's
What are you
Eve.
talking about?
You always celebrate.
It's always a party, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, of
You
course.
never not have a party for your birthday, right? Because it's always like
The fireworks
party.
are for me.
Yeah.
So funny.
But then is it also that you kind of like always wished as a kid you would have a different birthday because no one is really paying attention to you, but more to I don't know,
fireworks.
New Year's Day?
No, well, if you know me, I'm not like, I don't need that attention, especially
You don't crave?
not as a kid.
No?
I would be completely fine with like
Being
going into
ignored?
the shadows and ignored. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
You were
would you-
okay with that?
Yeah.
What would you do in the shadows? Would you have a sketchbook and pencil, or were you just
No, I didn't really care.
You were not painting until you were 22.
Yeah.
I read that in an interview.
I did not I was not that big into drawing as a kid. Like I was like pretty good at it, but it just wasn't, I wasn't like one of those kids that always had like a sketchbook and would run around and like draw everything. And I mean, I always liked like creating, so like building stuff, making stuff, but like, no, drawing was never really my thing, I guess.
What did you build?
I mean,
Lego
just like Legos, like erector sets. Like I like took apart like a lot of things, like my Nintendo, which was probably a bad idea. Yeah.
So
just,
electrical
like,
stuff too.
Yeah, I would mess around and really like I wouldn't like put it back together in terms of like the electrical components. I would just like take it apart, just
And
more
that was
for
it?
like a sculpture. Yeah, either like break it apart or like look at it for its like sculptural purpose and like building purpose.
You're like, these colors are pretty. Who needs to play Mario Kart? It's just completely
I think I already probably had a newer system by the time I was taking apart the old one.
destroying the older ones. And what type of materials would you use to like build things when you were growing up when you were little?
Oh, I mean, like I always like making like things out of wood, but like yeah, like Legos or any type of like erector sets or any like toys or like things that I could like kind of connect together in some way. Yeah.
Did you follow the instructions?
Yeah.
You did?
For certain ones, yes.
Because there
absolutely.
are people that do and people that don't.
No,
I was always an instruction follower, but
I like the instructions for certain things, but then I'd usually like take what I like learned and then like go off on my own and start trying to build things. But I would always, if I got something, like if I had something, I would always build what it was first,
and
so I could like figure out how to do it and how like where pieces go, and then from there kind of just do whatever I want and build. Like I built some like big monstrosities too, so like huge. Yeah, I forget, like with one of those erector sets, I think they were like 6 feet tall, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my parents.
Did you have erector
I
sets?
didn't, but I was a Lego kind of person. But I was the type of person that I would take my Lego bucket, which was multicolored. They didn't do that like weird gendering kind of Lego stuff they do now. So it was like my multicolored, rainbow-colored Lego set, and I would just dump it on the ground, just dump it all out, and then I would make something. Would you organize your Lego pieces and then use them, or are you more free for all?
Yeah, no, absolutely organized.
You organize
Wait,
them
hold
before?
on. They do, yeah. You have to get everything in
good
order.
question.
But
I'm curious.
wait, they do gender?
Yes, it's really weird now. Like
Legos?
now it's
How does that work?
Like girls have like more, or what they want girls to purchase. They'll have like magentas and like light pinks and pastel-y colors, and then for the boys it's just like regular colors, and I'm like, I got my little niece build.
Well,
It's like
and the
a regret.
figures didn't used to have like fancy clothes or hair. They were always like,
they were just like
the figures were just like men, right?
No, they always had some. At least when I was a kid, they always had some. Oh yeah, they were.
And then I would always switch the heads
everything.
anyways.
Like the bodies were always just like flat.
Flat, right?
Flat
And
you could
men.
switch. You could pop the heads on and off.
Yeah.
And just change them.
You
and,
could always
Oh
do
yeah, you
something.
had female heads, but
Yeah.
you didn't have boobs back then.
No.
Now
Who
they have
needs, who
boobs
needs
too.
them?
Do they?
No, it's horrible.
They have boobs, and even the
They should give
Duplo,
them But,
Duplo
yeah.
went into like the
They
girl
completely,
stuff way
like
earlier than
skirts
they
and all
did.
sorts of stuff. And I was like, I could wear pants, so I'll just put little girls on the pants. Anyhow, I'm
But
curious.
I have to say, I'm a huge Lego movie fan, which is
I've never
fucking
seen.
crazy,
Have you
right?
seen any of those Lego movies?
Yeah.
The Batman? Was it the Batman?
No, I didn't see the Batman one.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
haven't seen either of them, but that song was super popular with the little kids. Like, everything is awesome. Such a random.
Oh, that was a good song.
I love the Lego
God.
movies. It's crazy
was
because
it?
it's like such a long time ago, but it's like they're just
Well,
great.
they're still
usually
making them.
better.
They're still making them.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You mentioned wood. When was the first time you started handling tools like drills and hammers and nails?
What age was that? I mean, I started like by. I mean, my dad was never really into like building stuff, so that was kind of like on me to go ahead and.
Who in your family was that you got into that?
I guess my grandfather. I guess no one really. No one was really that interested.
Nobody
but I
showed
wanted
you,
to
or
like.
was it more like a self-taught? You found it in the garage.
Yeah, I
You're
would just
"Ooh,
like
what is
figure
this?"
it out and realize like what works and what didn't. I built like I had an iguana, which is they're not good. They're the worst pets. Don't ever get a kid a lizard for like a pet. It was just the worst. But I want like it just because my friend down the street had one. My friend Chris had one. But I got one and I was like, oh, I want to build this like cage for it. So we had this tree outside, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cut down part of the tree and I'm gonna build a cage around the tree so this iguana could be in like the coolest cage ever. And it's
Out in
it was
nature,
like
that's
it
such
was
a
like
good idea.
it was like this like 6-7 foot cage that you could walk in, had its own door. So I built that.
How
and
old were you?
I was probably like 9, maybe 9 or 10.
You cut down a tree at
10.
9?
No, not like cut down. Like cut the branch, like made it shorter so that the cage could go around the tree.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you sketch it out?
It was
and
pretty
draw
cool for a
it?
week, and then like a hurricane or a storm hit, and that's when I
And the
realized how
iguana was gone?
the poor quality, yeah, my poor building quality, because it wasn't really anchored anywhere.
Oh, you didn't know-
It was good. It was big and nice, but it was
Maybe it
a
wasn't
lack
like
of anchoring.
hurricane prepared for like 75-mile-per-hour winds either. You know, like you can't blame yourself entirely. Maybe it had something to do with the hurricane.
No, I
as
was
well.
perfect. I look back at that, I'm like, I
Had to
didn't
decide.
anchor it down.
May we ask about the lizard? Like, what happened to your?
Oh, hopefully ran away. It's,
That's why we have all
no.
those lizards in Miami
They're all
running
over the place,
wild,
especially
right?
on the beach.
Venetian Causeway.
They're all over the place.
When I first moved here, I was like, what the hell? They're like iguanas, like
Yeah.
humongous.
oh yeah,
Ginormous.
and they're great in the wild. They're just like garbage pets.
They survive everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They even when it gets cold, they'll like fall out of trees and then revive them. Have you ever
I haven't.
like when a cold front, like a really like cold front comes in? What happened like 6-7 years ago? I remember it was like 40 for like a month straight. And the iguanas were falling out of trees onto people's cars. But once it like warmed up, like they'll like you
Recover.
think they're dead because they're like limp body, like, and then they like once it warms up, it like recovers and like wakes up and runs
so it
off.
goes like dormant, like it's like in a coma.
Yeah. Wow. Essentially.
That's fascinating. You learn something new every day. I had no idea.
Yeah. So if it gets
Amazing.
really cold again, hopefully, maybe
Don't
some
park near an
iguanas
iguana
will-
tree.
Yeah.
And fall on your.
So, but that means you grew up in Miami, right? You lived
Hollywood.
in Hollywood.
South Florida.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
We just had another interview with Patricia, who lives up there
She
now.
moved there.
She moved there,
Yeah.
but you grew up there.
Yeah. Grew up. I don't know. Normal childhood.
Beach.
Suburbs. Going to the beach every once in a while. I mean, we weren't like walk to like like my wife Jenna, she like lived pretty much on the beach. We were a little further west, but yeah, I mean, go to the beach all the time, especially like in high school. But like as a kid, just like normal, riding a bike, hang out.
And in high school, what kind of activities did you get to? Were you still like making sculptures and building stuff at home with your tools, or did you gravitate towards any groups in specific, or
art classes?
art classes?
Not really. I played basketball for a little
Wow.
bit.
Okay, let's talk about that. Who got you started in that?
Unsuccessfully in high school, and then quit that and was just like surfing and kind of hanging out. I wasn't really into art in high school.
Did you do leagues of like basketball or clubs or train, or
I played.
a parent that was like, oh, you should.
You
do
were on the
this,
team.
or-
Oh, my parents.
Which
were
one?
all.
We're all about it.
Yeah, both my parents are all about it.
Did
My
they
mom-
play themselves?
What?
Did they play themselves?
Yeah, my mom's in the. She's actually in the Hall of Fame.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So she played in college, and then my dad plays. We still play.
WBA? No, what's that called? The women?
WNBA? Yeah.
WNBA.
Yeah. No, I think it was before the I mean, she got in for her college, for like her college team. They were like one of the first women's dynasties in basketball. So she got in for that, and like a lot of her friends from the team, yeah, they were coaches and whatnot in WNBA. But
Wow.
so played. It's a little short, a little like I don't think I cared enough in high school to really like get into it. I think I played my freshman and sophomore year, and then I was just
You're like, this isn't for me, Mom. I'm sorry.
What did mom say?
they didn't
like,
care. They had
"Oh."
my brother to definitely more into it. So.
Okay, good.
So you
That
went
is so
from
cool.
from playing basketball. I mean, what else was there in high school? Like what?
Is there high school in Hollywood?
I think there is.
Or did you have to go to Miami?
No, I was in Hollywood. Yeah,
Hollywood.
there's tons of high schools.
There's tons of high schools.
Oh, really?
I think
always
they're
think of
basically like
Hollywood
different
to be like
cities.
so small, but
It's
it's
a
not.
decent size. I went to a private school. I went to a Catholic school.
Did you wear uniform?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't have to wear a uniform in Catholic
Either.
school.
I didn't have to wear
God.
uniform when I went to public
Really?
school, so it's a little different.
It was easy.
I think it's so much easier. I miss having uniform like elementary school. Like you don't even have to think about what you pick out during the day. Like you're just like, okay, and I'm wearing this, and so is everybody else. That's all there is
Yeah.
to it. Versus, oh God, does this match what I'm gonna wear? It's annoying.
Yeah, I'm okay with no creativity in terms of
Of clothing.
my
Because
clothing.
Michael always likes to
You
wear
still
neutral.
wore your uniform.
Yeah, I wear just
Basically.
plain, like just like neutral clothes, no patterns ever.
That's now, but there has been a picture that I have seen of you with a certain hair color. Did you ever go through a phase of...
Well, no. All right. So in a certain hair color, I had blonde hair at one point.
Natural or like
No. I bleached it, but that was for a Halloween costume.
No, I think I saw red.
Red? No.
Yeah, wasn't you?
No, I think you're thinking of
Wasn't
someone
spikes?
else. Spikes? No.
Like really high, tall spikes.
I had a mohawk at one
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
You
But
had
I
a
didn't dye my hair red at the.
thought
That
it
was
was
not
red.
dyed red. No. Oh yeah, I had a giant mohawk.
How large was it?
Enough that like if I put it up and I drove my car, like I'd have to tilt my head.
you tilted your head while you were driving your car.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
hair, the things we do for hair. We've spoken about hair before in these interviews.
Yeah, that was in college though.
And you went to college in Orlando, right?
Why'd you decide Orlando?
Realistically, I wanted to stay in state because Florida's cheap. It's like dirt cheap. I was able to have a job and come out of college without any debt, which is
Amazing.
a big positive. I was going. You know what? I don't even know why.
UCF. I'm like Disney.
Yeah, I got accepted to like UCF and UF, and I think I liked UCF better. I think I don't know why I was going for like architecture was what I was like.
Oh, really?
It's like immediately like what I wanted to do when I got into college, and then that all like,
wavered.
and then I had to take drawing classes.
What classes did you take that were like, oh, this isn't for me?
Oh, I didn't even take an architect. Like, I didn't even take one to say that this wasn't for me. It was less about like, this isn't for me, more about I really like making art and kind of like shifting. I'm like, oh, I'll do architecture, and then I was like, oh, maybe, and it's actually a big shift, but in my mind in college it wasn't that big of a shift. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just do like animation, which is not even close. And then it was really just me trying to figure out how to like make the transition into just like, I'm just gonna get a fine arts degree, and to kind of.
And you ended up getting a BFA then, right?
Yeah. Ended up getting a BFA. I got really into it, obsessive with it. Started to like pretty much was getting my BFA in illustration, and then the last second changed it to painting. Decided to take like
one more painting class or
no, it wasn't even one more painting class. It was taking like an extra semester and taking both of the advanced painting classes that they offer in the same semester.
So you were painting nonstop?
Oh yeah, I was living at the studio in college. I mean, I had a cot there, and I actually was given a pretty sizable space to work, like almost as like not as large as my studio now, but like close to it.
Was it like an honorary, like how do you call it, like a special studio or something?
Or did the BFA students get studios?
I just took it. It was like in a painting class. I mean, everyone kind of had a certain space, but just because I decided that I wanted to make giant paintings, that I just like encroached on everyone else's.
This is my space.
Yeah, I really took over. So it was nice.
That's so funny. And I'm curious, the jump from drawing to painting, as I feel like a degree choice, is not necessarily severe. I mean,
that was.
But in terms of media, like what attracted you to painting that you're like, this is where it's at?
I think I moved a little closer towards abstract work. I really wanted to, kind of got bored with line really. So I moved towards painting, and I was doing like large abstract paintings. Kind of like more almost like flesh, a little darker.
Dimensions?
Yeah, I like the dimensions, but you could get that in a drawing too.
But like 8 feet something,
I like the texture, like there was texture, it was like, I don't know, it was something that you could like, kind of like grab onto, like had a little more teeth to it. So that's what I really enjoyed about it.
More or less, what was like the biggest size? Because I think when I think drawing, I think normally like intimate, small, 8.5 by 11. Sometimes, you get a little bit more brave and you do like maybe 12 by 34. What was your like in size? Because like when I see your stuff, it's like normally really large and very impactful. You do make more smaller pieces, but the really large ones, like what's the largest you did when you were in undergrad?
Undergrad painting or drawing? You're asking painting?
Yeah.
Painting, probably larger than what I have now. I think I did like a piece that was it like 18 by 12 maybe?
Whoa,
something like that.
You still have them?
Yeah, I was using like a little scaffolding to paint. It was fun. Yeah.
I can picture you like a Da Vinci, like just like trying to reach your pieces. And the imagery and the, I'd say, exploratory manner in which you conduct your work. Could you walk us through that, like the process?
Now?
Yeah.
How I work now?
Versus then. Now versus then.
I guess the process is completely different. It's a different style of painting. I mean, back then I was doing more of these kind of abstract, like flesh, kind of toned, giant paintings. And now I'm working in watercolor, and it's more delicate, and it's about layers and these kind of build up of these like kind of translucent layers that give way. It kind of has that like ethereal quality where you kind of
The light kind of goes through it.
Yeah, you can kind of go into them a little bit. But I work flat now, which is completely different. It's a slower process of like letting it all kind of pool together and just kind of come together in that way. Yeah.
Which then was a little bit. Also, looking at the.
It's still flesh, so it's still like the human body, right?
Oh yeah,
you stayed with the human body, like
Yeah.
it's like. I mean, you shifted. I didn't see the earlier works, but you shifted. You shifted the medium, but you're still staying with the skin. Like it's more the face now than.
Yeah, well,
before that it was more like the whole body.
I moved into that. Well, I was trying to bring a little bit more realism into the work, and I wanted to get away from acrylics because if you've ever painted flesh in acrylics, it's god awful. So, wanting to move into realism and then wanting to paint flesh and also wanting to paint at a large scale, I decided to do watercolor because it was financially cheaper for me to do that. I was looking at oil and I was like, I can't afford this, I'm broke. So I moved towards watercolor just because I could make it myself. So I could just buy the pigments in bulk and then just get the gum arabic in bulk and just grind it and make it all myself.
You make all your watercolors yourself still?
Not all of them anymore. But yeah, I still make like my primary colors, the ones I use the most. I still make those. Make them to use them. But yeah, it was mainly an economical reason, I guess.
And a need that shifted you towards.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But there's something going on now, or has been going on, that you're switching more from like the depiction of the body is always very realistic, right? That the face, for me, it's very detailed, and then you switch between like abstracting it and letting like the page come through almost, right? And then or the white come through, and then you kind of like deconstruct the face almost a little bit, or you float it in the middle, like the new series where you have the eyes are covered in like
the faith piece titled Faith. Yeah.
How do you call that? Like a scarf, you know, or like and then they're round, but then they break off. Like there's not a background in that way. Or
so the way that I use the white especially to kind of I guess. Float the figure in. It kind of stemmed from working with watercolor, that preciousness with the white, but it also, like from my days of actually drawing an illustration, I really enjoyed that kind of those implied lines and giving the viewer something to kind of piece together, at least when it came to portraiture. And so then from there, it kind of carried through my work now, even though it's not necessary that I do it now. I personally like the quality, and it creates it connects the work that I'm doing, so it kind of acts to facilitate. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think it too. I feel like there's I don't want to say that it matches, but there's a storyline I feel that's building up with your original work. So what you're doing now with the same, there's a connection with the
vehicle, I guess, to connect each piece together. Because right now I'm kind of creating these like vignettes. So that white space acts as like the connection between all the pieces.
The one thing in the storyline. And
it's the space that they're all in.
It's like a timeline.
So you can,
Yeah. That's how I would phrase it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what I don't know. I said it for you.
It reminds me a little bit of the Toba Keduri drawings. Did you see them at the PAM? She's a painter from LA, and she has like these massive, like humongous papers, and then she draws something in one corner and like the rest is blank, and it's like her most famous piece is probably this chain linked fence, that is just there without ground. It's just floating in like nothing, and you don't know where it is. Are you in a dream? Or
it has a history.
And
the respect of the white space has a history.
Definitely. It's like this playing with this white space. But is it the paper really that comes through, or are you putting down a color? for the white?
It's not paper, it's canvas.
It's canvas that comes through, right?
So that's just the base. So I don't add to it. It's just painted on top. So that's just the base. So it kind of, it feels like it's kind of encapsulating the figure, but when you look, at least the way that it's designed, but the way that it is that the figure kind of feels like it's floating out of it, or coming out of it in a way.
It happened to me when the 7th biennial in Hollywood in the Art and Culture Center, they had your piece on the cover, right?
Yes.
On the invite.
Yeah.
And I got the invite and I was like, my God, what am I looking at? It was really throwing me off, And then I saw the piece in the show, and I was like, oh wow, that's the piece, because it was on this white card, right?
Yeah.
And
So it kind of perfectly like blends in.
Yeah, it
it's great for marketing. Absolutely.
It was like, they used a really good piece for marketing. And I was like, what am I looking at? What is this? It was really cool.
Okay, let's talk about your journey to that biennial. What did you do after you graduated from UCF?
UCF.
We'll go back into the artwork, but just like a little road trip somewhere else.
Yeah, I came back down south, lived with my parents for as long as I could, which was about 3 months before I was going crazy. I found
getting kicked out.
No, I wasn't gonna get kicked out. I needed to leave, but I found a space in Fort Lauderdale that's like an artist live workspace, and was able to get a spot in there. So subsidized housing for artists, which was nice. Yeah, it was actually pretty great, the space, and then just painted, and then I was working in the service industry really to make money. Spent a number of years there, realized that Fort Lauderdale wasn't the place for me, like almost like kind of gave up on what I was doing, trying to figure out where I was, and then from there I went to the art center, but that was years later. I must have been in Fort Lauderdale for like 5 years.
Okay.
5-6 years, maybe 6. I don't know.
Did you wander somewhere else besides South Florida before you ended up at the art center? Like, did you?
Yeah. Jenna, my wife, and I, we traveled around looking for places to move. What worked best for both of us with her job. She works in film, so it had to work for really, really both of us. And the only places that would have facilitated us were LA and New York. She doesn't like LA. I'm okay with it. I have nothing against it, but so that was ruled out. And New York, I don't know. It was just never. We just never really decided that we wanted to. But we traveled to so many different places, cities, and I think we were just for a year there. Like, well, it felt like almost every other week we were just going to a new place.
Wow.
Yeah, whatever was cheap, we'd just like go out there.
Check it out.
Yeah.
And then you guys selected Miami.
Yeah, I decided to stay. Maybe we're just lazy.
No, or maybe you're close to family and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you ended up at the Art Center in South Florida. How was your experience there after having your own studio practice for 5 years on your own in Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, it was great. It was like kind of I don't want to say game. It changed my outlook on the art world in many ways. At least how I could approach it, and really financially it definitely helped, and also being in a more active community was a really, really big thing for me.
Did you have a community in Fort Lauderdale, or did you experience more of that at the Art Center?
Yeah, there was a community in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not saying there wasn't, but there was no one to like. So the artists that I felt like I met at the Art Center definitely were a little more established. Everyone was a full-time artist, or for the most part was a full-time artist. So that was something new. That's what they were doing. That's how they were making their money. I mean, it helped that it was on Lincoln Road in the middle of
You
Miami
got a lot of
Beach.
traffic at the time, right? Just people walk in and buy stuff. And
people would buy stuff. that actually helped me in many ways, really being there and having, I mean, you could have like 200 people on a weekend, like on a day, come through your studio and like talk to you. A lot of artists like get overwhelmed by the idea and like feel like you're being harassed, but I loved it. I mean, it let me kind of like talk to people, communicate about my work, and especially coming from a space where I was isolated, it was like a shock. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the practice, I mean, I experienced that here too when we had the open studios, and and you had to talk about your work, it's kind of like this, it is a good exercise to do that,
Yeah.
It's like to kind of just get your ideas out through words, not just through the work in a way. Yeah.
I know, I feel like I'm rusty on that.
Not
so much traffic at the laundromat, or
No, we still have some good, especially during events we have.
Well, it's not Lincoln Road,
No,
right?
it's
It's like
nothing
not
like
every
that. I
day,
mean, I was getting tired at some points.
Yeah.
Because you, like a new group comes in every like 5 minutes and you're repeating yourself, and
how do you get work done?
at night. At night. You get work done at night. I mean, I can still get work done while people are there. I was in like my studio. Some people wouldn't walk in. It was almost like a fishbowl. So I just have people like face pressed up against the glass watching me like work.
Which is also great.
Yeah. It was an interesting experience, to say the least.
I mean, were you able like to sell enough to really like stop your day job, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was really nice and a big change. I was getting tired of working in the service industry, so I was able to get out of that and really kind of capitalize on the little time that I had there. I think it was one of the last people to really
Move into the old 800 building, before it sold.
So you were there for a year or two?
Yeah, that year I was that building I was in for 1 year, and then I spent another year in the. They have another building. They're still on Lincoln Road, just not as visible.
But that doesn't have as much traffic anymore, right? It's
No.
It never did.
It never
like
did.
here a little bit.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I feel like we used to have a little bit more traffic, but it's definitely slowed down. And it's also like we're kind of off Wynwood, it's like not like Lincoln Road, everyone is there,
Totally.
It's kind of
And the tourists that are there to buy
massive.
stuff to begin with.
Probably now, if you would be on Northwest 2nd Avenue, like in the center of Wynwood, it would feel a little bit like.
Oh yeah, you
Lincoln,
probably
but
get that
no,
feeling.
we're definitely off of that now.
And what type of like exhibition opportunities or curatorial coming in to talk to you? What type of things was fun when you were at the Art Center?
I mean, I started getting obviously some more shows, little ones here and there. I think the main thing was actually having just access purely to just people coming in. I think it's better than almost any show, because especially at Miami Beach, I was meeting people from all over the world that were either had no idea about art in any capacity, or I would talk to like museum directors and people that own galleries over in whatever country, or get all types there. So it was really interesting in that way. Meet a lot of collectors. So it was kind of eye-opening, especially just the sheer, I guess, volume of people and the types of people that are interested in art. Yeah.
Did that help influence your decision in not having another private studio space and maybe joining? You're currently at the Laundromat Art Space in Little Haiti. Did that make your decision a little bit more easier that, yes, you wanted to be a part of a community that was involved versus on your own?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't really feel like being alone in a studio space anymore. Yeah, it's nice to be with a lot of people. Even if it's not to bounce ideas off, just to take your mind off of art off of what you're making every once in a while. You need time to just step back, but also just kind of staying in a circle where you know about things that are happening. Like I'll easily, if I were to work alone, I would just kind of isolate myself in many ways. I don't think I wouldn't go out to like find things to do or to talk to people. I think that's my personality. So I should force myself to be in these communities.
Which you did, and I think it's quite the space that you chose, because I mean, they've named it Artsy, did an article with the laundromat being mentioned. It was mentioned in the New York Times at one point, so it's definitely a very happening space that has a lot of shows.
Yeah.
The exhibition, they also have an exhibition space there, right?
Yeah.
With shows.
Yeah. So we have our exhibition space. So yeah, we're always have something going on. Yeah.
And open it up to the community.
And we already had 2 people from the laundromat. I was just thinking about it. We had Kristen Page Minot, number 3, and then Andre Martinez, number 5.
And we have a future session coming up. We're gonna have Bianca on.
Oh, nice.
Bianca Pretorius, 35, I think.
Yeah, they're
45.
all alright
45.
people. Whatever.
Current local artist.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, I noticed the inclusion of, going back to your work now, we're regressing back to that. Well, not regressing, just jumping back in.
Yeah, let's just regress. Let's talk about
Let's go back. Well, you definitely work with wood, and I noticed that this latest sculpture is not just, it's canvas that's stretched on wood, but you actually included a sculptural element. Why the shift? Where did that come from? And where is it, potentially going? Like, it's so intentional that I'm quite curious.
In I guess this new body of work, this new series, like the idea was really to kind of create vignettes and to really pull pieces off of the wall. And I've, at least for a little while, I've always liked the idea of paintings interacting with other paintings. Like my one large, I guess the really large, the portraits, those were always mirrored images. So the idea was always that they interact with each other and kind of take the viewer out of it. So with this, I'm kind of creating these, I guess, like little vignettes, so I can actually work within a space and have the paintings kind of get off the wall, and really kind of encapsulate something different.
I'm not sure which picture you choose for the cover.
It's a fist. It's a fist.
Or the preview, but they're which one?
The fist. They're like one of his largest pieces. It's so beautiful.
But these pieces you're talking about, you're painting a head, right? And then the head is basically on it doesn't look like a body, but it's almost the height of the body.
It has this,
it's a structure, right?
Yeah, it's a
like
structure
this wooden structure that has like...
Yeah, it's this like minimalist representation of a body. Yeah. So I'm creating these kind of like... this figure.
It's like a figure.
A figure that can exist in the 3-dimensional space, and then there's also going to be other sculptures in which they kind of crowd around. So I'm making other large sculptures as well that I'm building. Again, like with that minimalist style. So
clean lines.
Is that a new direction, that you're pulling it into the 3D more?
Yeah. I mean, I've thrown around that idea in previous series that I've done, but this is really kind of taking it to a different, I guess, level in space and kind of creating a story out of it in a slightly different way. Yeah, so it should be interesting. I've just started really mocking everything up, so I have to see where it goes. I have a tendency to stop liking things after I've started working on them, but I think I'll stick with this one.
I think you make a few. You normally do studies, like you notice that on your website. You have a few samples and then you shift to your new body of work. And I'm curious because you've done rectangular, you've done square, and then this is oval, which is so mirror-like.
Yeah.
And the size of them is also not as large as I normally like your pieces to be. They're quite
there's gonna be some large ones in that body. Yeah.
So I'm curious why the oval.
Why the oval?
Yeah.
It's
Because
the face.
yeah,
Okay,
if it's that, if it's the really it's oval because it fits the design of the sculpture. It sets into it. Yeah, it has that. It's oval because it is that face that kind of sits in there. If you put like, I looked at it like if I were to paint that same painting of a face and put a square into that same sculpture, it would look like a blockhead or like a Lego head.
Robot.
Bring it back.
Like a Lego Minecraft head.
But I like the blindfolding. The word came finally
There
to
we
me.
go.
But it's not really blindfolding. It's almost like I'm really tired and I have a headache and I have like a wet towel on my eyes.
Kind of. I mean, it is a blindfold. I mean,
It's
that's
it's
a
more like-
that's a blindfold too. The headache. You don't want light to get in. Yeah, it is.
That's
It is
true.
it is a blindfold. It is. That's what it's supposed to be. So.
And I think it's also maybe Maria's pointing towards the expression, I should say, it's been a long day, expression of the face, that it's not necessarily like it's under duress or being forced into a situation, it's doing so willingly, which I think connects, for me at least, I really like the title. It's called Faith, which means you just trust and you believe.
That's a working title.
It's a working
You're not
title.
gonna get out of this.
That to me goes with because it feels like the face is like, it's at peace with whatever blindfold it has on its face. Like, it's not being forced to do it. Like, it's like you said, it put it there itself, or it was placed by somebody that they trust, or I don't know what the scenario is when I picture it in my mind, but when I look at it, it's not.
Well, the idea.
I don't feel stressed.
With the the idea with the work. So I'll probably have something around 25 of those like
Cool.
figure
Nice.
sculptures. But the idea is really kind of goes around, that blind worship, that blind faith that people have in whatever ideology they have or opinion they kind of put their trust in, that they believe is true in some way. So whether it be religion or any of like social constructs that we kind of come up with. I mean, politics right now that everyone goes a little crazy for.
This and that.
Yeah, all these things like people kind of they blindly trust 100%. So that's kind of where that work is going, at least with those pieces.
And where are you sourcing your imagery from, if we could ask? Like, where are you getting your...
This work, people that I know.
You're still casting for the series, right?
Yeah, I'm still casting.
Open calls, reach Michael
whoever, if someone
Williams
wants to come into my studio, I will gladly use you as reference.
Blindfold them.
I will gladly blindfold you and use you as reference.
at Laundromat Art Space, set up a session.
Yeah.
His
The
website
blindfold
and
is
his
not
info
wet,
there.
most likely.
It's a nice,
No.
clean blindfold. One use only.
Pretty clean.
Per person.
Yeah, per person. Well,
How many are you?
We said 25.
I want
Aiming
to do 25
How many
at least of
images do you
those
have right now?
figures. So I probably want to get at least like 30 different people. But I'll take people. I'll embellish things. I'll change their face. I just like the reference, like the little. When I use reference from photographs, like I like finding the things that are kind of unique to someone, and taking those, and then I can generalize certain things. Like if I want their mouth to look a certain way, I'll change it. If I want something to do something different, I'll work with that.
Like a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, exactly.
You tweak and you pull until it's just like how you want it.
So-
Which is, for me, I've always loved your paintings. They're so aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful. Like, beautiful. But also, like, the layering of, I mean, no offense, but watercolor is such a bitch. It's so complex, and you just completely master it. Like, you really, I mean, when I tell people and I show them your paintings, they're like, oh my God, that's watercolor. I'm like, yes, can you believe it? I can't believe it. I still don't believe it. You're probably lying, so it's acrylic. But the mastery of the material
so
is
ugly.
phenomenal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. I don't know.
No,
Continue.
I use a watercolor, so you know.
Continue.
So you know. I don't think I could get those skin tones with acrylic. It's so
For the
ugly.
record, you're like, ugh. So yeah. So I'm curious to know, would you ever be willing to go into the grotesque, or do you enjoy the tweak and the pull that you do to manipulate it into what you want?
I've worked in the grotesque before. I am tweaking and manipulating things to be
Dr.
more
Frankenstein,
more grotesque in certain ways. Certain ones that I did to just like emphasize, like I painted George, made him look older. My friend George is an artist that I used.
I'm sure he won't appreciate that.
And then like emphasizing like pimples or cold sores and like bringing those out a little bit more. But my work naturally has a way of like kind of glossing someone over, and just the white like really like taking away so much and leaving it to the viewer to decide what's there. Really kind of smooths people out in many ways, and it does have that way of like beautifying. So I don't know.
The pre-Snapchat filter. I'm curious, since we don't have a lot of time left, and Maria already held her hands up I talk too much.
No, I just say 5 minutes.
Okay, great. Did you ever encounter creating either painting or commission and having somebody say, oh, I need more filter, like that's not enough filter for me, I don't like this. Like, how is that? Who can you divulge?
I mean, I've had commissions where people just absolutely hate it. I've done a painting of my grandmother who I already filtered quite a bit. Hate it because I made her look old.
Oh, we love you, Grandma.
And she's like, yeah. She was old when I did
You're
it.
such a great painter, though.
You should have taken a photo when she was young.
Hated it. I gave it to her, and she just like looked at it, and she's like, "What the hell is this crap? That's not what I look like." I'm like, "Well, it's not," because I took away some wrinkles, but.
Oh, so she wanted the wrinkles? Or
No, she did not want the wrinkles.
Oh, less wrinkles than
I already took.
And I've seen her in person. She's such a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, okay, Maria, your question. Go ahead before I get us in trouble with
No, go ahead.
Michael's grammar.
Yeah.
Okay, we still have time. Okay, going forward, where do you envision? I'm really curious. This new body of work is like 25 of those sculptural / painting bodies. Like that will take up some space. Do you see it at potentially the Laundromat Art Space, or maybe somewhere else that would be able to house your opening?
Somewhere else that I can house it, because it's not just that. Like that's only one of like several pieces that I would like to show together. So that's like one kind of vignette, and I have multiple, probably about 5 or 6 different types of like kind of like stories that would go along with that. That I really would like to show together. So ideally a very large space. I don't know.
It's a solo show.
It's a solo show for sure. Warehouse somewhere.
I'll shop it around, and you know what? If it doesn't get anywhere, then I'll just like I'll do what I do always, and just like piece it together here and there.
Set it up.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Maria mentioned this about the flesh and the body, and the fascination, like the observation of like the human, like I guess the physicality of it all. Do you, when you have ventured off the path of the flesh and the body, what kind of sort of themes or things have you selected?
I've done all types of objects. A lot of things that I paint, like I'll do just as a study, just as a test to see if I can, or what I'm capable of, to kind of push like my boundaries in terms of what I'm painting. Like, I mean, I guess another vignette that I'm doing right now that has that like large ocean. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Oh, it's like a tsunami wave.
Nice.
It's like a 12-foot by 6-foot painting.
I'll have to go check into
But
your
that'll
studio.
be that's part of like another vignette that'll have other, again, figures that I'm painting that'll and not in the same sculpture. It'll be in a different kind of sculptural way that'll kind of work with it as well. So.
Okay, I'm curious, since I still have 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Do you always work on multiple vignettes at a time? As you mentioned yourself, that sometimes you do get bored with a certain something. So do you work on multiple things at once within different themes so that you don't get necessarily bored?
Oh yeah, I'm working on a ton of. I mean, like I said, I have like six like little kind of vignettes I'm trying to set up right now. So I'm working on all of them right now. So. And
you switch between.
Yeah, when I get like mentally tired of one, I switch to another, or I just work on multiples. Like, so I have that like. Again, I don't think you've seen it. So I have like a rockeye hat, like that big like stone that I painted and like cut out like the canvas for. and I have those little figures, and then I'm building the sculpture. So I have kind of everything going all at once. And it also helps because the watercolor needs time to, like, when I put down like layers and let it pool and dry, and just because it like pulls off, so I need to give it a little time before adding more, or else it gets really muddy.
Yeah.
I love how you corrected that.
You made it to the very last question.
I know, Maria has a question.
You've been sitting in a magical rocking chair, and not just because it's going to be your birthday and the day of the release, but it's a magical rocking chair, and it grants you 3 wishes. You can wish for anything, but you have to say it out loud. Otherwise, it's not going to come true.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what is your wish number 1?
I get 3. You know what? I listened to the I listened to the podcast before.
You were prepared for this.
And no, I was gonna say, and I thought to myself, oh, I should prepare for this, and then totally forgot.
Yes. This is so
And
like
I'm
you,
really bad with these questions on the spot, so.
It's okay, you can take your time.
All right, wishes. That Heinz
Without
lives,
censoring. So
Heinz
the
lives
first
forever
thing,
with me.
The first thing that
The first wish is that his pet, Heinzie, who we all secretly love and adore, lives forever. I wish that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, or until like I go like.
Until
it's
you
more
go,
like
you can
it's
go
more
at the
like a
same time.
suicide pact, type thing. I mean, unless I
go together.
Unless I die young, and then he can stay alive for Jenna.
Wish number 1. Wish number 2.
Oh man.
I love to see you flustered. This was great.
Yeah. I have no idea. I'm a very content person.
That's nice to have.
You have no wishes.
Do you wish anything for anybody else? Maybe not for you, since you're not selfish.
How about a space for your solo show?
I mean, that would be nice.
Right? Maybe a museum?
Sure, I'll take like
A space for your
just to be comfortable in my life forever. I can create as much tension as I need.
Okay,
Yeah.
so comfortableness in your life.
Comfortability.
Comfort.
Yeah, just complacency.
Comfort.
I just want complacency.
No excitement, just
Yeah.
regular stuff.
Yeah.
Averageness. Mediocrity is okay. And wish number 3.
I didn't say mediocrity.
Okay, well, complacency. We'll say complacency.
Wish number 3. Just wish to not be put on the spot with random.
With random.
No, I wasn't.
That's
I
very
cool.
good wish.
I wasn't put on the spot. I
That's
knew.
okay.
I knew this.
Totally
I
were.
knew this was coming, but I just didn't prepare.
Well, you could say maybe awkward situations where you have to respond, and then you could just deny. You could plead the 5th on the 3rd one.
What are some good ones? No, you can wait. Some other
Should we-
ideas.
should we-
What is-
More
throw-
ideas?
throw
You're
some-
okay with it? This could
Oh
be an internal
yeah.
group thing?
Let's make this communal. Throw out
What
some.
about the space?
Well, how about, do you like to travel? Is there anywhere you want to go in particular? You've traveled the world with your wife already, all over the place, so I feel like travel's not really. Want to travel more?
That's not a win.
Health.
You know what? Sure, good
Money.
health. Why not money?
Money, there
All
you
those
go.
things.
Health and money
I
and
want
all
health.
those things. World peace and community.
Sure, all those wonderful things. I want all of those.
Oh, goodness, you're so good. Okay,
Happy
well,
New Year!
Happy New Year.
yeah.
Happy
New Year.
birthday.
Oh, thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
You
First
don't-
ones to wish me happy
right?
birthday,
You're
so
welcome.
thank you.
You're welcome. We don't have a cake for you, so we're bad, but next time.
I know.
We didn't even bring a present.
We didn't even bring a
expected
present.
one.
The present is him being
And
here.
look, there's
You are
cake,
the present.
There's cake boxes right
There's a
there.
cake box and it's empty. It was all
No
eaten.
cake.
No cake.
Oh, we're gonna have to deliver the cake on the 1st.
I normally make the cake. I'll make the cake. Okay.
You take care of the cake.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Maria,
guys.
for sitting
Yeah.
down with us.
Thank you, Elisa, for a fantastic first year of Rockin' Chair Sessions.
I can't believe we made it to 2018. Okay. Well, thank you, Maria, for being here, and thank you to our listeners.
Thank you guys for checking in with us, for listening to our podcast. And
Next week we have Monique
we have a
Lazard.
yes
Session 39.
Sessions 39 is coming up for you guys. Alrighty, bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.